So, Patty, you've been a client of Aspire for a while now,
I have.
and I know sometimes it's hard for people to understand what value they would get out of a coaching experience.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of maybe one example of something that you've gotten from being an Aspire client that's been really useful to you and maybe how it's impacted your life?
Okay, sure. There's actually a lot I could draw from, but one that really stands out on my mind is the belief tool that you exposed us to fairly, this has been years ago, but it's one that really stuck with me. And with the way I call it kind of the reframing tool.
Mm-hmm.
And what it helped me understand was when situations happen, oftentimes, and this is, I only can speak for myself, but
Mm-hmm.
something happens, something and mostly bad, something bad happens, and I figure out, I think I know exactly what happened. So for example, I'm up for a promotion, I don't get it, I think my boss hates me. Well, what else could be going on? Well, maybe there's someone else that they already had in mind for that job. Not anything against me, just
Mm-hmm.
someone special, that they had already picked out for that. Maybe part of it was his not knowing much about me. So, I work for someone else, I work for someone below him, and I do my work and I feel valued, but maybe at the next level they don't really know who I am. So I haven't communicated my value. Maybe my boss hasn't as well as they could. Maybe the job isn't a good fit. So maybe, I'm talented, I'm bright, I can do this job, but maybe it really ultimately isn't a good fit, and someone beyond me knows that. Patty wouldn't be able to do her best work in this job. I don't really know that,
Mm-hmm.
but someone else could say it would be a good fit, and maybe if I had gotten the job, it wouldn't have been a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea is reframing it. So things happen to us, things happen, they hurt us, we feel bad, there's, for me anyway, I immediately go into a defensive mode, like, someone doesn't like me. When most of the time I would say things that happen aren't really personal. That's what I'm learning. That's one of my big lessons in life. And so by reacting to something like it was personal when it really isn't, really doesn't help me. It doesn't serve me well. It puts me on the defense, makes me maybe have bad feelings about someone when they really didn't do anything to harm me. And also I have to recognize that there's a lot I don't know. That, I'm one person in an organization, a huge organization, and I don't always know what the plan is. And kind of looking at the larger spectrum and really understanding and realizing that there's maybe other things at play here kind of takes the anger and the defensiveness out and gives me more of a perspective. I kind of detach from it and am able to say, okay, this isn't a statement about me and my worth. It's saying something about, the larger picture that maybe I don't fully understand. But that's been one tool that I have used again and again and again, the belief tool. So that's been a great value to me from Aspire.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of tools, but that is one that's so powerful. And I've heard from everybody, and I use it myself as well. And it's just a great thing. Anytime anything upsets you or you find you have any reaction
Personal,
to something,
business, etc. Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
go through the process, and often it helps to go through with somebody else, talking you through it and helping you think of different scenarios.
Right.
But your emotions just go down to level, and suddenly you're more effective. When if you were in the emotional state, you're very ineffective. So that's such a great example. Thanks for sharing.
Well, I think the first time we did it as a group. I think it was one of your in-person sessions, and it was really interesting to kind of hear everyone report it out, and everyone talked about something very different, personal, business, etc. But it was so interesting to see how effective it helped people go, oh, I never thought of it that way. And how just the stress and the defensiveness, just the level just went down amazingly low. And then we all kind of went, never thought of it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's easier probably when you're looking at somebody else and you're seeing that they're caught up in it. But since you're removed, you can see from the outside that they're caught in a perspective. And then when we go through the process, they get to a place where they're able to handle it better. So that's such a great example. So I have another question for you. And that has to do with the length of time. So I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to go into coaching. I'll do a few sessions. I'll get some clarity on this, and then I'll stop. But we do design our programs at Aspire so that people can stay for a long time if they want. They're not required to. And you have stayed for a long time. You've been with us, and we've done different things. We've done coaching at sometimes. Sometimes you've been in the group program. But for the most part, we've been together for how long? Maybe,
I want to say 15 years.
Yeah, quite a long time.
Long time.
So can you kind of share with our viewers what is it? what value you get kind of long term over being part of a community like this.
Yeah, one of the things about Aspire that I love is that there's opportunities to communicate and be part of it online. You know, there's no geographic limit to being part of Aspire. For example, I lived in California my whole life until about 3.5 years ago. My husband got a great job offer in Virginia, and we took it. And we packed up everything and moved to Virginia. And you know, he had a great job, and we moved there, and he's off doing his job, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have a job.
I know, and you had been at Chapman for how many
Almost
years?
20 years.
20 years in one job, and now you have to just pick up across the country, completely new situation.
Knew nobody, had no leads. It was really Aspire that was such a great. It was a great continuity piece in my life that even though I wasn't nearby anymore, that I still felt part of Aspire. And in a couple ways, here's how it played out. One was when I, not working, I had plenty of time to be on a lot of the calls. So I was able to really invest a lot of time into the different calls that we had for leadership and for personal development. And I think I also did some personal coaching with you at that time. So, I had this great link and support group at that time. One of the most valuable things was, again, some of the learning from being part of Aspire. One of them was when I left, I said, Nahid, help me. I don't know what to do. I've never been without a job for like 30 years, and I'm panicking here. And I'm like panicking, physically panicking. I don't know what to do with myself, but I had to have a job. But your suggestion was to find a way to structure my time so I would be productive to help myself find a job, but I would also value my time, because I didn't ever have a chance as an adult to really kind of
just enjoy
myself,
Virginia, right?
Yeah, being in Virginia, the beauty there, but learning, and then kind of what do I want to do with my time? Do I want to read? Do I want to exercise? Do I want to do crafts? What do I want to do? And it took me 6 months to find a job, and I need to say the first 2 months, this was November, December, I put probably 50 resumes out, not one call. And so I am feeling devastated. I'm like, no one wants me. I'm useless. I'm terrible. Having Aspire there, having Nahid there to say, no one wants me. And she'd say, Patty, just get a grip. You're fine. This is the holiday season. And kind of make me realize, this isn't personal. Okay, here's the reframing again. And by January 1st, the phone started ringing. All of a sudden, interviews happened. And when I ended up, I had 3 job offers. And I started working in less than 6 months. So that was really exciting for me, but that process, I truly believe, really helped me to kind of get grounded, and stay grounded in my new surroundings. And I have been very active in Aspire ever since. So the last 3.5 years in Virginia, I do weekly reports. I sit in on the phone calls. I mean, I've made it a real commitment to my personal growth and recognize the value of Aspire. So it really kind of kick-started that, and I've been very active the last few years, even in Virginia. And when I can, and she comes out to North Carolina, I drove down to see her, and she did a workshop. So I'm here in California visiting my kids. We're working together again. So,
so whenever we can see each other.
Whenever we can, we do that. So I am so grateful for that and for the longevity. And I feel like, as a coach, as a colleague, as a friend, I mean, you know me, and I feel like we have established that over time. And so there's great trust and great respect, mutual respect, and I think that's one of the values of the longevity, but also the environment of Aspire really helps to grow that and nurture that. So
yeah, I love both of those points. The grounding, because you're not the first one that's mentioned that it's kind of an emotional grounding system that really just builds your confidence and gives you something to lean on through the whole time, but also the relationships, because I feel the same way about you. And I've had a few clients that have been with us for a long time, and it's a nice community of professionals, and there's just a lot of closeness and mutual respect. And you're going to be you are a mentor now.
I love it.
In our Aspire program as well. So it just kind of continues on.
Absolutely. So it changes and shifts, but it continues on. It actually gets better and more deep and more fruitful. Right,
because you can just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. That's excellent. So I just have one more question to ask you about Aspire. There's so many coaches out there and so many coaching programs. And so if somebody's watching this on my site, they're probably wondering, how is Aspire, in terms of coaching and a program, how is Aspire different from other coaches? And I know you've had a few other coaches. You've maybe been in some other programs, development programs for sure.
Right.
What would you say about that?
Well, I think what I love about Aspire and what really attracts me is that there's so many ways to connect, so many ways to be involved. And you can do that in a very tertiary level. If you don't want to do the one-on-one coaching. You can just be a monthly member and watch videos on the website. You have access to all the tools. You know, you publish a lot of white papers. You do a lot of thought leadership, which is interesting. So that there's a kind of a passive way you can be part of Aspire. I choose that isn't the best way for me, and so what I love is that I can be as active as I want to be. If I want it, there's calls every week. If I want to be a part of a call, I can jump on the call. If I want to, you know, by doing a weekly report, that's a way of connecting. So you're kind of up to date about what's going on in you know, in my life. And kind of where my needs are. By being a mentor, that's another level of commitment. And the other thing I love is that you have built a community, and I've gotten to know several people through working with you that are part of the Aspire community that I've come to become friends with, that I, you know, mentor, that I feel like I have when I get on a call. Even though I don't know any of these people, I've never even met them, that I know them, that I know who this person is. I know some of the struggles they've had. And so we have this great connection point. And I love that you have that. You've created this environment where people can do that. So I think that it's much more appealing because there isn't like one size fits all, that you're willing to kind of work with us based on our needs and based on, you know, what you know about us and the things that are going to help us at that time. If we need the one-on-one coaching, we can step in and do that, you know, for 5 sessions. We finish that, okay, then we re-engage in the way we want to. But then I think there's the difference. I think when I have had experience with other coaches, what I have found that there's usually just one size fits all. This is what I do. This is how I coach. Take it or leave it. And I don't think that's ever been Aspire. I think Aspire's always been interested. What do you think? How am I? And, you know, what's working for you, what's not, and you've been able to kind of, through feedback, you've been willing to hear feedback and then willing to see how the shifts and moves, and so you've kept yourself current, you've kept current with us, and you've been very sensitive and responsive to the needs of the group, and therefore you have been able to keep a lot of us as clients for a very, very long time. And I look in the near future, I continuing with Aspire for, you know, Indefinitely.
I mean, we're always evolving, and now we get to evolve together. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your being willing to share the story, and I think people visiting the website would also be really appreciative to just hear some perspectives of people that have been a part of it. Excellent. Thank you.
Highly recommend it.